Jake Morrison stood in the center of the massive chamber, his black diplomatic uniform feeling heavier with each passing moment. The Galactic Council's hall stretched out before him like a coliseum, with thousands of alien representatives seated, in circular tiers that rose toward a crystalline dome. Their eyes, tentacles, and various sensory organs all focused on the lone human figure below. The Zephyrian Chancellor raised one of his forearms, and silence fell across the assembly. His voice echoed through translation devices that made his words understandable to every species present, but Jake heard the cold finality in the original alien speech. "The matter of humanity has been decided," the Chancellor announced. "After 3 cycles of deliberation, this council finds that the human species poses an unacceptable threat to galactic stability and peace." Jake kept his face neutral, though. His heart hammered against his ribs. He had known this moment would come, but hearing the words still felt like a physical blow. Around the chamber, alien heads nodded in agreement. Some species looked relieved, others appeared satisfied, and a few seemed genuinely sad about the decision. "The evidence is clear," continued a Vraxian delegate, her insect-like features clicking as she spoke. "Humans are too aggressive, too. Unpredictable. In just 50 years since first contact, they have been involved in more conflicts than any other species in recorded history. They spread too quickly," added an Altarian representative, his blue skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. "Their colonies expand without permission, their traders ignore established routes, and their military vessels patrol where they have no authority." Jake wanted to argue, to point out that humanity had always responded to threats rather than creating them, but he knew the council had already made up their minds. The trial had been a formality, a way for them to justify what they had planned from the beginning. The Chancellor stood fully, his massive frame casting a shadow across the chamber floor. "Therefore, by unanimous vote, the Galactic Council hereby orders the complete evacuation of human presence from civilized space. All human colonies, stations, and vessels must withdraw beyond the galactic barrier within 1 standard year." The words hit Jake like ice water. Complete evacuation meant abandoning everything humanity had built among the stars. Colonies that housed millions of people, research stations that had made groundbreaking discoveries, trade routes that connected dozens of worlds, all of it would be lost. Furthermore, the Chancellor continued, any human presence detected in Council space after the deadline will be considered an act of war. The combined fleets of all member species will respond with appropriate force. Jake finally found his voice. Ambassador Morrison requesting permission to address the Council. The Chancellor's 4 eyes studied him for a long moment before nodding. "The human representative may speak, though the decision stands." Jake stepped forward, his boots echoing in the sudden quiet. "Honorable members of the Council, humanity has always sought peaceful coexistence with all species. Yes, we have defended ourselves when attacked, but we have never been the aggressors. We have shared our technology freely, opened our worlds to alien visitors, and contributed to the galactic community in countless ways." A ripple of dismissive sounds swept through the chamber. The crystalline collective's representative spoke, his voice like grinding stone. "Your species learns too quickly, adapts too easily. You reverse engineer our technology and improve upon it within cycles. This is not cooperation. It is theft and supremacy." "We offer our improvements freely to all," Jake replied. "Human scientists have shared every breakthrough with the galactic database." "That only proves our point," snapped the Vraxian delegate. "Your scientists solve in months what takes our researchers decades. Your military tactics evolve faster than our strategists can counter. Your very existence makes other species obsolete." Jake realized the truth then, seeing it in their alien faces. This was not about aggression or unpredictability. The Council feared humanity not because they were violent, but because they were effective. Humans learned too quickly, grew too fast, and showed too much potential. The established powers of the galaxy saw them as a threat to the existing order. "You fear competition," Jake said quietly, but his words carried in the chamber's acoustics. "This is not about peace or stability. This is about maintaining your dominance over species you consider inferior." The Chancellor's skin darkened with anger. "The human speaks of things he does not understand. This council has maintained galactic peace for over 10,000 years. We will not allow one species to destabilize everything we have built. By destroying anyone who might challenge you," Jake shot back. "How many other species have you eliminated over those 10,000 years? How many civilizations have you wiped out for the crime of being too successful? Enough!" The Chancellor's voice boomed through the chamber. "The decision is final. Humanity has 1 year to evacuate all presence from Council space. This assembly is concluded." Jake stood alone as thousands of alien representatives began filing out of the chamber. A few glanced back at him with what might have been sympathy, but most avoided looking at him entirely. They were content to let the Council handle their fear for them. As the chamber emptied, Jake activated his personal communicator. The device connected him instantly to the human embassy ship orbiting above the Council homeworld. "Captain Bennett, this is Ambassador Morrison. Execute Protocol 7 immediately." Lisa Bennett's voice crackled through the device. "Confirmed, Mr. Ambassador. Protocol 7 is active. All human vessels and installations are being notified." Jake closed the connection and looked up at the crystalline dome above him. Through its transparent surface, he could see stars scattered across the darkness of space. Somewhere out there, humanity would have to find a new home, a new purpose, and perhaps a new way of dealing with species who saw them as a threat. The Council had just made the biggest mistake in their 10,000-year history. They thought they were eliminating a dangerous rival, but they had no idea what humans were capable of when their backs were against the wall. The galaxy was about to learn that there was a significant difference between being dangerous and being threatened. Jake straightened his uniform and walked toward the chamber exit. He had messages to send, preparations to coordinate, and a species to save. The Council wanted humanity gone, and humanity would oblige them. But they would not forget this day, and they would not forgive the casual dismissal of everything they had built. The real war was just beginning, and the Council had no idea what was coming for them. Danny Hayes watched the transport ships descend through New Phoenix's amber sky like mechanical birds coming home to roost. The colony that had taken 15 years to build was being dismantled piece by piece, but what struck him most was the complete absence of panic or despair among the colonists. "Captain Hayes, the mining equipment from Sector 7 is loaded and ready for transport," reported Lieutenant Amy Roberts, her tablet showing endless lists of cataloged materials. "The Geological Survey team wants to know if we should include the deep core samples." "Everything goes," Danny replied without hesitation. "Every bolt, every data chip, every sample of dirt. The Council thinks we're running away, but we're actually moving house." Amy nodded and made notes on her tablet. She had been questioning the thoroughness of their evacuation at first, wondering why they needed to document every single piece of technology and every scrap of research data. Now she understood that this was not a retreat, but a relocation of unprecedented scale. Marcus Webb stood near the main laboratory complex, supervising the careful removal of xenobiology equipment that had cost the colony millions of credits. As the chief scientist for New Phoenix, he should have been devastated to see his life's work packed into cargo containers. Instead, he felt a strange excitement building in his chest. "Dr. Webb, we found something interesting in Storage Vault 12, called out Ryan Phillips, a security officer who had been helping with the evacuation. He held up a sealed container marked with alien symbols. "The survey teams brought this back from the Outer Rim 3 months ago, but never got around to analyzing it. Marcus took the container and examined the markings. His expertise in alien languages told him these symbols were old, far older than any current Council species. "This goes on the priority transport," he said firmly. "And Ryan, make sure all the unexplored samples from the Rim expeditions are secured separately. Something tells me they might be more valuable than we realized." On the other side of the colony, Kate Sullivan coordinated the evacuation from the communications center. As the admiral in charge of human fleet operations in this sector, she had initially seen the Council's ultimatum as a military disaster. Now, after 6 months of careful planning, she was beginning to see it as an opportunity. "Admiral, we've received confirmation from all colony worlds," reported her aide, Commander Lisa Park. "The evacuation is proceeding ahead of schedule. More importantly, our deep space reconnaissance teams have identified 17 star systems beyond the barrier that show signs of advanced technology." Kate studied the star charts displayed on the main screen. The galactic barrier was a region of space that the Council considered worthless, filled with dangerous radiation and unstable stellar phenomena. What the Council did not know was that human technology was uniquely suited to operating in such harsh conditions. "What kind of technology are we detecting?" Kate asked. "Unknown configurations, but the energy signatures are massive," Lisa replied. "Commander Steve Carter's team found structures in the void sector that are clearly artificial, but appear to be millions of years old. The materials they're made from don't match anything in our databases." Kate felt her pulse quicken. Ancient technology in a region the Council avoided meant humanity might have access to resources and knowledge that could change everything. "Increase the reconnaissance missions. I want every system beyond the barrier mapped and surveyed within 6 months." Meanwhile, on Earth, President Nathan Cross addressed the Global Assembly with news that would reshape human civilization. The man who had led humanity through first contact with alien species now faced the challenge of leading them into exile. But his words carried determination rather than defeat. "Fellow citizens of Earth and all human worlds," Nathan began, his voice broadcast across dozens of star systems. "The Galactic Council has given us 1 year to evacuate civilized space. They believe they are punishing us for being too successful, too ambitious, too human. They are wrong about our intentions, but they are absolutely correct about our capabilities." The assembly hall fell silent as Nathan continued. "We will comply with their demands, but we will not simply disappear into the darkness. This evacuation is not an ending but a beginning. We are about to embark on the largest colonization effort in human history, and we will build something better than what we are leaving behind." In the Deep Space Research Facility orbiting Pluto, Dr. Ellen Brooks made a discovery that would accelerate humanity's plans beyond anything they had imagined. Her team had been reverse engineering captured Council technology for years, but the breakthrough came from an unexpected source. "Dr. Brooks, you need to see this," called out her assistant, Chris Adams. He was staring at a holographic display showing the internal structure of an alien artifact that had been recovered from a derelict ship. "The quantum matrix in this device is using principles we've never seen before." Ellen examined the display and felt her breath catch. The technology was not just advanced, it was revolutionary. "This isn't Council tech," she whispered. "This is something much older and far more sophisticated." "How much older?" Chris asked. Ellen ran the analysis again, checking her calculations twice before answering. "Based on the quantum decay patterns, I'd estimate this technology is at least 50,000 years old, maybe older." The implications hit both scientists simultaneously. If ancient technology existed and was still functional, humanity's exile might have just become the greatest opportunity in galactic history. Back on New Phoenix, Danny Hayes stood in the empty colony administration building, looking out at the systematic dismantling of everything they had built. But instead of sadness, he felt anticipation. The colonists were not just packing their belongings, they were preparing for war. "Captain, the last transport is ready for departure," Amy Roberts announced. "All personnel and materials are accounted for." Danny took one final look at the colony. That would soon be nothing but empty buildings and abandoned infrastructure. The Council thought they were witnessing the defeat of humanity, but they were actually watching the most organized military withdrawal in galactic history. "Set course for the rendezvous point," Danny ordered as they boarded the final transport. "And Amy, make sure all our survey data from the Rim expeditions is transmitted to Fleet Command. Something tells me we're going to need every piece of information we can get about what lies beyond the barrier." As the transport lifted off, Danny watched New Phoenix shrink below them. The Council had given humanity 1 year to disappear from civilized space. What they did not realize was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since the day they first encountered alien civilization. The evacuation was proceeding perfectly, but it was not a retreat, that it was the largest strategic redeployment in human history, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Steve Carter's ship drifted silently through the Altarian shipping lane, completely invisible to the Council patrol vessels passing less than a kilometer away. The new stealth technology was a masterpiece of human innovation combined with ancient alien principles that Dr. Brooks's team had discovered in the ruins beyond the barrier. "Target acquired," whispered his pilot, Maya Johnson, as she highlighted a massive Council supply convoy on the tactical display. 12 cargo vessels carrying weapons and medical supplies to the Zephyrian border fleet. Steve studied the convoy formation through his enhanced vision system. The technology allowed him to see through solid metal and identify the exact contents of each cargo container. What he found made him smile grimly. "Those aren't medical supplies," he said quietly. "Those are interrogation drugs and neural inhibitors. The Council is preparing to extract information from any humans they capture." Maya's hands tightened on the controls. Like all members of the Ghost Fleet, she had volunteered for the most dangerous missions humanity had ever attempted. The modified human neural interfaces allowed her to process information faster than any alien pilot, while the ancient technology made their ships untouchable by Council sensors. "Orders, Commander?" Maya asked. "We follow the plan," Steve replied. "Disable their engines, take the weapons, leave the crews unharmed, but thoroughly confused about what happened to them." The attack lasted exactly 37 seconds. Maya's ship struck the convoy's escort vessels with targeted electromagnetic pulses that shut down their systems without causing permanent damage. Steve's team boarded the lead cargo ship, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to move through the vessel like ghosts. The Altarian crew never saw them coming. One moment they were piloting their ship through normal space. The next moment they were waking up in their emergency pods with complete memory loss of the past 4 hours. Their cargo holds were empty, their navigation systems had been wiped clean, and their communication equipment had been replaced with older models that contained no record of the incident. "Ghost Team Alpha returning to base," Steve reported as they withdrew from the area. "Mission successful. No casualties, no witnesses." 3 sectors away, Paul Rodriguez reviewed the reports from dozens of similar operations. As the admiral commanding humanity's shadow war, he coordinated attacks across Council space with surgical precision. The pattern was always the same. Supply convoys disappeared, communication networks failed at critical moments, and border stations went dark for hours before coming back online with confused crews and missing equipment. "Admiral, we've received the latest intelligence report from Agent Johnson," his aide reported, handing him a datapad containing information that had been gathered from deep within Council Command. Networks.Paul read the report with growing satisfaction. The Council leadership was in chaos. Each species blamed the others for the mysterious attacks. The Zephyrians suspected the Altarians of staging false flag operations. The Altarians believed the Crystalline Collective was undermining their supply lines. The Vraxians were convinced that a conspiracy existed among the other species to weaken their position. "They're doing exactly what we hoped," Paul said to his staff. "Instead of uniting against the real threat, they're turning on each other." Maya Johnson had returned from her mission just in time to hear the briefing. Her role as an intelligence officer required her to spend months at a time infiltrating Council networks, gathering information that allowed humanity to stay one step ahead of their enemies. "The paranoia is spreading faster than we anticipated," Maya reported. "The Zephyrian High Command has started encrypting their communications with codes that exclude other Council species. The Altarians have begun moving their fleets to defensive positions around their home systems." Paul nodded approvingly. A shadow war was working better than anyone had dared hope. By remaining invisible and striking only at the edges of Council territory, humanity was creating fear without revealing their true capabilities. In the hidden research facilities of the Void Sector, Ellen Brooks achieved another breakthrough that would shift the balance of power even further. Her team had successfully integrated human neural interfaces with the ancient quantum computers they had discovered in the ruins. "Dr. Brooks, we have our first successful test subject," reported her assistant, Luke Thompson, as he monitored the vital signs of a volunteer who was connected to the alien technology through a direct neural link. Ellen watched the displays with fascination as the volunteer's brain activity synchronized with the quantum computer. The ancient technology was designed to enhance cognitive abilities beyond anything the current galaxy had ever seen. "How do you feel?" Ellen asked the volunteer. "Different," he replied, his voice carrying a strange new quality. "I can see patterns in everything, connections that were invisible before. The mathematics of space-time, the quantum structure of matter, the logical flaws in Council military doctrine, it's all perfectly clear now." Ellen realized they had just created the first enhanced human, a being with capabilities that would make the Council's worst fears about humanity seem laughably inadequate. The ancient technology was not just advanced. It was specifically designed to boost the abilities of species that already showed high adaptability and learning speed. "Begin Phase 2 immediately," Ellen ordered. "We need 100 enhanced humans ready for deployment within 6 months." Meanwhile, in Council space, the mysterious attacks continued with increasing sophistication. Ryan Phillips led a team that infiltrated a Vraxian research station and copied their entire database of military technologies. The information was transmitted to human scientists who immediately began developing countermeasures and improvements. "The Council's weapons are impressive, but predictable," Ryan reported to his superiors. "Their shield frequencies follow mathematical patterns that our enhanced personnel can calculate and exploit in real time." The evidence was clear that humanity's exile had become the greatest strategic advantage they could have asked for. Free from Council observation and restrictions, human scientists and military planners worked with ancient technology that made their former enemies' capabilities seem primitive by comparison. Grace Miller commanded the first fully operational Ghost fleet from her flagship, hidden in the depths of a nebula that Council sensors could not penetrate. Her ships were equipped with weapons that could disable entire fleets without destroying them, stealth systems that made them undetectable, and communication networks that operated faster than anything the Council possessed. Admiral Rodriguez. "Ghost Fleet 1 is ready for Phase 3 operations," Grace reported during their secure conference. "We have 30 ships equipped with full enhancement packages and crews that have completed neural interface training." Paul smiled as he reviewed the tactical situation. 2 years after humanity's supposed defeat, they controlled more military power than they had ever possessed as members of the Council. The galaxy's rulers had eliminated what they saw as a threat, never realizing they had created something far More dangerous. Proceed with Phase 3, Paul ordered. It's time to show the Council what real power looks like. The Altarian homeworld's defense grid had been the pride of Council military engineering for over 3,000 years. Massive orbital platforms bristling with weapons that could destroy entire fleets surrounded the planet like protective moons. On Tuesday morning, every single defensive system simply turned off. General Marcus Kane stood on the command deck of the UCS Retribution as it emerged from quantum stealth directly above the Altarian capital city. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, he could see the blue-skinned aliens fleeing in panic as human ships materialized throughout their solar system like ghosts becoming solid. All defensive platforms are offline, reported his tactical officer, Helen Foster. Their communication networks are jammed. Their fleet commanders are receiving conflicting orders, and their government buildings have lost all power. Marcus nodded with satisfaction. The enhanced humans operating the ship's systems were processing information and executing commands faster than any alien crew could follow. The ancient technology integrated into human ships made Council vessels look like toys built by children. Open a channel to all Altarian frequencies, Marcus ordered. It's time they understood their situation. A message that broadcast across the tree. Altarian homeworld was simple and delivered in perfectly pronounced Altarian by Maya Johnson, whose enhanced neural capabilities allowed her to master any language within hours. People of Altair, this is the Terran Federation. Your military has been disabled, your government has been isolated, and your planet is now under our protection. We come not as conquerors, but as liberators. The council that has ruled you for millennia has kept you weak and dependent. We offer you a choice. Join us freely and prosper, or remain loyal to your oppressors and face the consequences. Admiral Grace Miller watched from the bridge of her flagship as similar scenes played out across 12 other council worlds simultaneously. Her enhanced vision allowed her to monitor multiple tactical displays at once, while her modified neural interface processed battle data faster than any conventional computer. Status report. From all task forces, Grace requested. Task Force Beta has secured the Vraxian mining colonies without resistance, reported Commander Tony Mitchell. The local administrators are requesting immediate negotiations. Task Force Gamma reports that the Crystalline Collective's border worlds have already begun broadcasting surrender messages, added Captain Chris Adams. They want to discuss terms for peaceful integration. Grace smiled as she realized the truth that human strategists had predicted. The Council species were not united by loyalty or shared purpose, but by fear of being dominated by someone stronger. When humanity demonstrated overwhelming superiority, most aliens immediately began calculating how to survive under the new order. On Earth, President Emma Davis addressed the human population with news that would reshape their understanding of galactic politics. The woman who had led humanity through exile now prepared them for their return as the dominant power in the galaxy. My fellow humans, Emma began, her words broadcast to every human settlement beyond the galactic barrier. Today, we have revealed ourselves to the galaxy. The council that tried to eliminate us now faces the reality of what we have become. We are no longer refugees hiding in the darkness. We are the future rulers of civilized space. The revelation that humanity had not only survived, but thrived during their exile, sent shockwaves through human society. Families who had mourned the loss of their homes among the stars suddenly realized they were citizens of an empire that spanned beyond anything the Council had ever controlled. Dr. Samuel Clark stood before the assembled leaders of every major news network in human space, preparing to release information that would justify humanity's actions to both their own people and the galaxy at large. The evidence we have discovered in the ancient ruins changes everything we thought we knew about galactic history, Samuel announced as holographic displays showed artifacts and records from the predecessor civilization. The current council. Species are not the legitimate rulers of this galaxy. They are the descendants of rebels who overthrew the true galactic government 50,000 years ago. The historical records were devastating to council legitimacy. The predecessors had built a civilization based on cooperation and mutual advancement. Each species contributed according to their abilities and received support according to their needs. The system had worked for hundreds of thousands of years until a coalition of aggressive species had launched a coordinated attack that destroyed the predecessor homeworlds and scattered their people across unexplored space. The Council. Species rose to power by committing genocide against the most advanced civilization in galactic history, Samuel continued. They have spent 50,000 years suppressing any species that showed signs of reaching predecessor levels of technology and cooperation. Humanity was simply their latest target. The revelation explained everything about council behavior. Their fear of human advancement, their insistence on maintaining the existing order, their willingness to eliminate entire species rather than allow competition. It all made sense when viewed as the actions of usurpers desperate to maintain. Stolen power. Admiral Paul Rodriguez coordinated the global reveal from his command center in the Void Sector. Reports flowed in from across the galaxy as human forces demonstrated their capabilities to species that had never imagined such technology could exist. The Zephyrians are requesting immediate ceasefire negotiations, reported his intelligence chief, Lisa Park. Their chancellor is claiming that the evacuation order was issued without his knowledge. Paul laughed at the obvious lie. Tell the chancellor that we will consider his request after he explains why his fleets were positioned to attack human evacuation convoys. The truth was that humanity had intercepted council battle plans that revealed their intention to attack human ships during the evacuation, claiming that any resistance justified the complete extermination of the species. The discovery of those plans had convinced even the most peaceful humans that the Council deserved no mercy. Luke Thompson commanded the task force responsible for securing Council communication networks. His enhanced crew had taken control of every major information system in civilized space, allowing humanity to broadcast their message to every inhabited world simultaneously. Admiral Rodriguez, we have confirmation that our broadcast reached every Council world, Luke reported. The historical evidence about the predecessors is being transmitted in all major languages. Public reaction on Council worlds is showing significant support for our version of events. Paul realized that humanity's greatest weapon was not there. Advanced technology, but the truth itself. The Council had ruled through deception and intimidation for 50,000 years. When presented with evidence of their crimes and the promise of something better, most species were eager to abandon their oppressors. Begin Phase 4, Paul ordered. It's time to offer the galaxy a real choice. The message that went out to every world in Council space was simple. The old order was dead, and humanity offered partnership instead of domination. Species that joined the new Federation voluntarily would be treated as equals and given access to technology that would transform their civilizations. Those that chose to resist would face the full power of humanity's war machine. The galaxy held its breath as the greatest transformation in recorded history began to unfold. 6 months after the revelation, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. Admiral Tony Mitchell stood on the observation deck of the UFS Harmony, watching as Altarian and human engineers worked side by side to construct the largest space station ever built. The massive structure would serve as the new capital of the Terran Federation, a symbol of cooperation between species that had once been enemies. Admiral, the Vraxian delegation has arrived for the integration ceremony, reported Commander Helen Foster, her voice carrying satisfaction that matched Tony's own feelings. Their fleet commanders are eager to begin joint training exercises with our forces. Tony nodded as he watched Vraxian ships dock with the station. The insect-like aliens had been among the first to abandon the old council after seeing footage of human technology in action. Their decision had triggered an avalanche of defections that left the remaining council loyalists isolated and powerless. "Schedule their meetings with our technical teams," Tony ordered. "The Vraxians have always been excellent engineers. Once they understand predecessor technology, they'll be valuable allies." The integration process had surprised everyone with its speed and success. Species that had lived in fear under council rule discovered that humanity offered genuine partnership rather than domination. Human scientists shared their knowledge freely. Human military officers trained alien crews without favoritism, and human administrators established fair systems that benefited everyone. Dr. Chris Adams walked through the research laboratories, where human and alien scientists worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. The combination of human adaptability, Altarian creativity, Vraxian engineering precision, and ancient predecessor knowledge was producing breakthroughs at an unprecedented rate. "Dr. Adams, we've successfully tested the new medical enhancement system," called out his research partner, a crystalline collective scientist whose mineral-based physiology had proven surprisingly compatible with human neural interface technology. "The healing rates are beyond anything we projected." Chris examined the test results with amazement. The medical technology they had developed could heal injuries that would have been fatal under the old system, extend lifespans across all species, and eliminate most genetic diseases. It was exactly the kind of advancement that the Council had suppressed for thousands of years. "Begin preparations for galaxy-wide distribution," Chris ordered. "Every species in the Federation gets access to this technology simultaneously." Meanwhile, Director Lisa Park coordinated the new diplomatic corps from her office, overlooking the station's central plaza. Through the transparent walls, she could see representatives from dozens of species meeting, trading, and planning joint ventures. The atmosphere was completely different from the old council chambers, where fear and suspicion had dominated every interaction. "Director Park, we've received formal applications for Federation membership from the Epsilon Collective and the Tau Alliance," reported her aide, Maya Johnson, who had transitioned from intelligence work to diplomacy with typical human adaptability. "Both groups are offering to share their unique technologies in exchange for protection from council remnants." Lisa reviewed the applications with satisfaction. The Federation was growing faster than anyone had predicted because membership offered tangible benefits rather than just protection from punishment. Species joined because they wanted to be part of something better, not because they were forced to submit. "Approve both applications," Lisa decided. "Schedule integration meetings for next week." In the military sector of the station, Commander Steve Carter trained the first truly integrated crew in galactic history. Humans, Altarians, Vraxians, and members of 6 other species worked together as a single unit, their different abilities complementing each other perfectly. "Listen up, everyone," Steve announced to his mixed crew. "Today we're testing the new quantum communication system that will allow instant coordination between all Federation fleets. Humans will handle the tactical analysis, Altarians will manage the creative problem-solving, Vraxians will oversee the technical implementation, and everyone else will contribute according to their specialties." The exercise went flawlessly. The diverse crew accomplished in minutes what would have taken hours under the old system, where each species worked in isolation. The combination of different perspectives and abilities created a synergy that multiplied their effectiveness beyond. Simple addition. "Federation Command, this is UFS Harmony," Steve reported. "Integration exercise complete with perfect scores across all categories. This crew is ready for operational deployment." The response came immediately from Admiral Paul Rodriguez, whose voice carried pride in what they had accomplished. "Acknowledged, Commander Carter. You and your crew will be leading the expedition to the Outer Rim next month. Intelligence suggests there may be more predecessor sites waiting to be discovered." The exploration missions had become one of the Federation's most exciting projects. With the galaxy finally at peace, human curiosity and alien expertise could be directed toward discovering new worlds and ancient secrets. Instead of fighting endless wars, President Emma Davis prepared for her address to the Galaxy Assembly, the new governing body that had replaced the old council. Unlike the council chambers, where alien species had sat in rigid hierarchy, the assembly hall was designed as a circle where every representative held equal status. "Citizens of the galaxy," Emma began, her words translated simultaneously into hundreds of languages. 1 year ago, the old council tried to eliminate humanity because they feared change. Today, we gather as equals in a federation that proves change can benefit everyone. The response from the assembled representatives was enthusiastic. Species that had never dared to speak in the old council now contributed actively to galactic governance. Decisions were made through cooperation and compromise rather than intimidation and fear. The predecessor records show us that this galaxy once knew peace and prosperity beyond anything we had imagined, Emma continued. They built a civilization that lasted for hundreds of thousands of years because they understood that diversity creates strength. The old council forgot that truth and ruled through division. We will not repeat their mistakes. Jake Morrison sat in the audience, no longer the lone human ambassador, facing hostile aliens, but now the Secretary General of an organization that represented the hopes of trillions of beings. The irony was not lost on him that the Council's attempt to destroy humanity had created exactly what they claimed to fear: a unified galaxy under human leadership. But the leadership was different from what the Council had practiced. Humans guided rather than commanded, suggested rather than demanded, and shared rather than hoarded. The result was a galactic civilization that was stronger, more creative, and more prosperous than anything in recorded history. "The stars belong to all of us," Emma concluded her address. "Together we will explore them, understand them, and build something worthy of the predecessors who came before us." As the assembly erupted in applause from dozens of different species, Jake reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. The Council had wanted humanity gone because they represented change, growth, and the possibility of something better. They had been absolutely correct about humanity's nature, but completely wrong about the consequences. The galaxy was learning that some changes were worth the risk, and some threats were actually promises of a brighter future. Humanity had not just survived their attempted extinction, but had used it as the catalyst to become what the galaxy truly needed. Leaders who understood that real strength came from lifting others up rather than keeping them down. The stars shone brighter now, illuminated by the light of civilizations working together toward a common future.